red clay. It's a whole nother episode.
Like just hay? I mean, like you had to bring it
We
in.
actually, where I was, they had, they did a really good job with the irrigation in the grass.
Oh, okay.
But my horse didn't stay out in the pasture. He was in the stall all day, and then he had his own little pasture that he could go at night. That was just for him because he was not good with other horses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I learn now that like that's a thing, and if they're not good with other horses, then fine. They will get used to each other eventually.
Right.
Ronald
He's done
and-
great,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
He's
with
fine.
Ronald,
Now he's with
Yeah,
Rebel,
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they get basically hay all day, and
Yeah. Where do they ship it in from? Do you remember?
they actually have like growers there.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Up
just
in
like
the hills.
it's just the irrigation is just so much more expensive
Sure. Makes sense.
with the water, but yeah. It
Now, where are
was-
you from originally? Because Arizona's not home, right?
Correct. Originally, I'm from Florida, but I grew up in Texas.
Okay.
So I lived in Texas most of my life, and then went to Arizona for school. And that's where I got my horse. Quarter life crisis.
I love
That's
it.
what I call it.
Calcifer, the quarter life crisis.
Yep.
I love
he
it.
was setting.
My horse is my therapy.
Yeah.
You know?
You'll have a couple
Or their
pair of
YUV
driving
therapy.
Frisians at your midlife.
You can't wait. You can't wait. The three of us keep looking at him going, is it time?
What is he doing?
Now? He's scratching his butt.
Being a butt.
Ronald.
He's
Buddy.
like, it's perfect.
He's a typical boy, totally involved with his booty.
Yeah.
Whatever. I
Just
can't.
it.
Nobody wants to see your butt, dude.
He's like, I don't really care.
Oh my god.
He's got rhythm.
What
on.
about like mentally? Are any of you affected? Like I'm affected. Not that I have sad seasonal affective.
Yeah.
I did
disorder.
up north.
Did you?
I absolutely did.
I don't hear, but I don't think it's as dark as long
It's
type
not.
of thing here.
It's not.
We
I
get more
get-
sun here.
Yeah.
Yes, and the sun.
And it's
It's still
Then
more
it-
pressing though.
Yes, and the days are not as short.
Right.
So obviously farther north, the days are shorter, all the worse. When the sun, it's dark at 3:15.
It's insane.
It is.
I would be so sad.
It was.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
was.
How do you ride your horse?
Well, lighted
How do you get
arenas.
things
I was gonna say
done?
most have indoors.
Yeah.
I grew up in the north, so
Yeah.
Indoor?
Oh, really?
Yep.
yeah.
Where at?
Pennsylvania.
Ah,
Oh, okay, because I'm from Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Very-
Just outside of Scranton is where I grew
Okay,
up.
so you're
That's where my family.
opposite ends.
Yes, but
Grew
still.
up. Absolutely, yeah. But totally different. I don't, it's, North Carolina has its challenges. Like
Yeah.
up there you get snow, but at least it's like stays cold for a long period of time. So there's not mud really. The ground's
Right.
hard, but most places you can still ride because they have
The
indoor arenas. And we used to turn our horses out in the indoor if the weather was really, really bad.
Yeah.
Here, I think it's just such a extremes. Like it goes, it can be really cold, and then it was 30 degrees last week, and it's
Right.
75
Yeah,
today.
that is the tough part.
Yeah, where there you have actual seasons that kind of like, okay, we're sort of
This
gonna
is
be
actual
like
winter.
spring,
Right,
you know?
right.
But
But it
put
gives
the
you
snow clothes away.
Yeah.
a
Not
division.
like, oh, we're
Yeah.
now in summer. Oh no, I lied.
Well, and do you find that you're constantly like, okay, colic alert, colic
Oh,
alert. I'm
yeah.
always
Yeah.
like worrying. It's 30 degrees, now it's 70 degrees.
Right.
Check all the horses,
Yeah.
more water,
Yes.
more,
Yeah.
But you're really good on electrolyte stuff.
Correct, and we
And
soak
that
all of our
helps.
feed.
Yeah.
But I'm
But those
still
are other
worried.
things you have to learn, like if you're
Right.
going to have your own
Yep.
place. And to your point about horses not getting along, just because you boarded horses and they were together and they got along where you boarded, sometimes when you move them,
Yep.
the whole dynamic changes
Yeah.
and they don't get along, or you
Yeah.
have that period of adjustment.
Yeah.
My
Their
horses
routine.
are placeholders, so they get moved a lot. Luke was in the lower pasture and buddied up with Samson, and it was great because Samson's the leader in there. He's a bully. We like Luke. They're good. Then he gets moved to another pasture. I need to put him back in there, what, a year later maybe? He goes in there, and Samson wanted to kill him.
Oh.
He kicked his butt on the regular. I mean, my horse looked battered.
Yeah.
That's the way, and they never got over it. They were best buds, and now they're not. That's horse dynamics.
Yeah, and it's the management. Like some people
Right.
choose to not have their horses together.
Right.
I have 3 mares; they live together.
Yep.
They need to work it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it just depends on your situation.
Yeah.
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 And the type of horses you have.
Yeah,
and,
there's that.
you know, if to your point, if you have a horse that's constantly bullied and they're
Yeah.
thin, like you have to manage all of that.
Yes.
I think.
I'm
You
not a
can notice
helicopter
it.
mom. So if I see
Yeah.
a
You
cut,
notice it,
You have to pay
yes.
attention.
Yes,
Let's
absolutely.
start there.
Yeah.
Pay attention, be on the alert.
Well, if they get cornered.
if it's
or-
dangerous,
Then
they're
that's
coming
a
out.
different kettle of
if
fish.
they have something to work out, like when Calcifer first came with
Yes.
Ronald, they were at each other all the time.
Yes.
You had some bruises, you had some bruises, and then they worked it out, and they're buddies,
Yes.
right?
But you were
so
on
you
the
have
alert.
to give them,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
But we
Watching.
gave them time to sort it
Yep.
out. We're checking, we're watching. Is
Yep.
it malicious? Is it dangerous? No, it's
Horse.
normal herd dynamic.
Horse.
We're okay.
Play.
We're in that range. Of,
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
have like just like people, like I have my one horse is very needy to the other horses. She was untouched until 9 and she is a clinger. And my other horses do really great with it, but they have times where they're like, get away from me.
Sure.
You know, so that she got beat up a little bit when
Yeah.
she first came because she had to learn what
She-
was acceptable
Yes.
as far as being on top of
Boundaries.
everybody
Yes.
else.
We
And
all
sometimes,
do.
and sometimes she relaxes. You know, it's all good. I'm thankful.
Yeah.
Like my horses, none of them are malicious to
Yeah.
each
Right.
other. They're all pretty. We were talking about that earlier. That my alpha is very ambivalent toward the other horses unless she needs to step in, and then you know she kind of fixes it. But
I love those horses.
Yes,
we
that's
have
what
a
you
couple
want,
of those
yes.
here
oh yeah.
that are like, you're running the show because I'm letting you. Don't step out of line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, when the needy horse came, she thought she was going to be in charge, and
Mhm.
it was more a insecure type of
Mhm.
I'm going to be boss, and my alpha was just like, oh, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
You're not actually.
And
Yeah.
it took one encounter, and she was like, oh, you're
Oh
right.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can have my bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
There you
But I
go.
was exactly right. I mean, it was like, oh, you know, and
Yeah.
it worked out.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
you know, I don't know what you do here, but I've been in places where mares and geldings were together.
Yep.
I've been in places where geldings were with geldings and mares were with
Yep.
mares. And
And I understand both.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I do too.
Yes,
And
it
we
can
have
be-
a mare pasture.
Yep.
But that's just because it worked out like that,
Yes.
right? We have one mare that really doesn't like the geldings, or maybe likes them too much, I should say.
Mm,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, but
I know
it
what
just
you're talking
kind of
Yeah. We know.
worked out that there were mares over there.
yeah.
Well, then we started bringing horses into stalls, and we're not cookie cutters. Like, it's not everybody comes in at night.
Right.
Everybody has a different care plan. So where this horse came in if it rained, well, then this one's alone. And this one comes in if it rains. So then I can rearrange pastures, or I can just bring one of mine over and say, you babysit over here.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. And so now I have 3 mares in this pasture. Now my dilemma is, I don't like uneven numbers. Because someone gets left out, or somebody gets bullied,
Yep.
right?
It depends on your situation. Like
Right.
I have
You've
3.
got 3. Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
And
Those
yours
are
are all
pet.
mares too, right?
They're all mares.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'd say my gray horse is low man on the totem pole,
Mhm.
but so as an owner you have to manage that too.
Yeah.
Like when we had the rain last week, they have a run in outside.
Mhm.
Well, the other 2 were like, yeah, you can stand out in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that
You know,
happens too. Yeah.
So you have to kind of, and she, of course, low man is the one that gets cold
Yeah.
or, you know, loses weight at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of, you know, manage all of that. And to your point, when I moved here from Pennsylvania, I had a gelding, and he was only ever with geldings. Never thought a thing about it.
Yeah.
Came down here and he went out in a pasture with mares and decided he loved mares.
Mm.
Little
It
He's
was
like, oh, it's a whole new world.
It was a whole new world. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I never knew that side of him
Sure.
because he, you know,
We hadn't
Well,
been
you
in that
didn't- you didn't
situation.
I was like, what happened to my horse? You know,
What did he do?
oh, he thought he was a stallion.
Yeah.
And all, you know, so if you had horses in the barn like that, he would rear up so he could look over
Oh, yeah.
at his friend and screamed, you know. And we
Who are
thought we were doing a good thing. We put him with an alpha mare when we first moved because we thought, well, she won't get bullied.
Yeah.
You know, she'll kind of put him in his place. Well, he was like, I love you. And it was a nightmare for a while until we kind of worked it out. And then, you know, I kind of managed that because I knew his personality.
Sure.
And over the years, depending on where I boarded or what I did, he sometimes lived alone, depending on the situation, because he could be mean to other geldings.
Yep. Sure.
And mean in a malicious way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
if
you're
you're-
there
yeah.
present or
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
If he could go out with other geldings and it was honky dory,
Right.
great, perfect. But if you threw a mare in, or if there was a mare in the pasture right next to them,
Issues.
yeah, yep.
But that's when you have to kind of be aware of like, know
Right.
your herd, know your horses, who
Absolutely.
goes with who. I hear all the time, like we have a new boarder moving in. Which stall will be my horses? Your horse doesn't have a stall. They go in whichever stall I feel like they go in, because I don't want you thinking that one's yours and that's where your horse always goes. We mix it up. Well, which pasture would she go in? Well, right now she's going over here, but I can move her
Right.
at any time if that dynamic isn't working out, or if we need her over here. If we, I'm always mixing stuff up. I don't want them in any kind of routine. Right? Keep them on their toes.
I think that's the safest approach.
Well,
ultimately.
for us. But again, just like every episode
Yes.
of this little series, these are how we do things,
Right,
or
right.
how you do things.
Absolutely.
They're opinions. They're not fact.
Yes.
They're conversations that maybe somebody watching is going, I never thought about that.
Right.
Or, oh, how interesting.
Right.
My horse did that. I didn't even think about
Right.
that.
Right.
So, yes, it's how we do it here.
Yes.
And I totally agree. It's
Yes.
the safest, which is why we do it. But, maybe
Well,
somebody has
based
another way.
on
Yes.
your map.
Yeah.
And,
And the years doing
horses you
this.
have.
Yep.
It's the best decision
Yeah.
to keep them on their toes.
Right.
Horses that have a routine or extreme routine, you can find them becoming so habitualized
Mhm.
that they can become threatening.
Anxious.
When I-
Or any
when I
change.
got-
Pushy is
Yeah,
a strong.
any yes, that's the best way. That's
Yeah.
what I was trying
Well,
to
and
express.
what I love though, Amy, and I'm grateful for you, is that, I mean, we know Chief has his issues. And,
Yeah.
and we talk about it.
Mhm.
Well,
That's why we
that's
have
true. I have
you,
my own
right?
issues too. That's another story for another
Again.
time. Yes, and that's what we do. But I appreciate that you listen and you're willing to kind of help me figure it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it takes a village, like
Right.
you were talking
Yes.
about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Totally.
not the case everywhere.
Right,
And,
right.
You know, you have to. When I got my gray horse, she had severe separation anxiety, and so she was dangerous to be by herself. She would run through the fence. She would jump over it. She
Oh,
was
gosh.
a harm to herself more so than others.
Mhm.
So it was a adjustment period of like how far can we get you away from whoever, or how long can you stay in a stall by
Of course.
yourself? And
Right.
you know, for the most part now she's good, but she is a horse that if she feels like her life is, she gets bananas.
Mm.
Okay.
Way better, but I manage it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
You
it's,
gotta pay
it's
attention.
But it
Absolutely.
starts with noticing.